"It's a boy," the midwife shouted, lifting the first baby high. But the moment her eyes landed on him, she froze. The baby had a tail. A long, long time ago, in the mighty kingdom of Aderemola, the skies were angry. Thick black clouds rolled over the palace, and thunder clapped like war drums. The wind howled through the palace window, shaking the golden curtain like leaves on a stormy tree. Inside the queen's chamber, the royal midwives moved like shadows. Queen Moranikeji, the beloved wife of King Obanifom, lay on a bed made of fine animal skin, her face covered in sweat. Her hand gripped the shirt tightly as pain gripped her body. "It's time," whispered the oldest midwife. "The twins are coming." Yes, twins. The king had prayed to the gods for children for many years. When Queen Moranikeji became pregnant, the palace celebrated for 7 days. The king had called in dancers, drummers, and even fire eaters. Everyone waited to see the royal children, but no one expected what was about to happen. With a final cry, the queen pushed. The room held its breath. "A boy!" the midwife shouted, lifting the first baby high. But the moment her eyes landed on him, she froze. The baby had a tail, a long, soft, coiling tail like that of a young lion. It moved gently as the baby cried. The midwife gasped. One dropped the clay bowl in her hand. Another crossed herself 3 times and backed away slowly. Queen Moranikeji, still weak, sat up and whispered, "Let me see him." They brought her the baby. His eyes were bright like stars, and he had a full head of thick black hair. His tiny fingers gripped her thumb as if he knew her. "Oh, my child," she whispered, kissing his forehead. "You are perfect." But then came the second baby. This one looked exactly like the first, but without a tail. "Another boy," the midwife cried in relief. "This one is normal." When Moranikeji looked at both babies, her heart beat with joy and fear. 2 sons, but one of them had something that would never be accepted. Before the queen could speak again, the king stormed into the room. He looked at the babies, his eyes wide. "Which one came first?" he asked. "The one with the tail," whispered the midwife. Silence. The king stepped back. His face turned cold. "No one must know of this," he said. "No one. Do you hear me?" "But my king," the queen began, her voice shaking. Obanifon raised a hand. "In our land, a tail is a sign of a beast, not a prince. If the people see the child, they will say we have been cursed. They will fear us. They will rise against us. The kingdom will fall into shame. In our land, nothing of such has ever been had. Not from a commoner. Come to talk of a prince. But he is your son. He is not to be seen," the king said firmly. "He must be hidden." The queen's heart cracked like dry ground in the sun. The midwife stood frozen, looking at the baby with fear and wonder. The queen looked at their faces. She saw it, curiosity, fear, talk waiting to bloom, and she knew. If even one of them spoke, her son would be haunted. The same night, under the cover of heavy rain, the queen called her most trusted guards, men who had served her mother before her. "Take them," she whispered. The guards moved quietly. The midwives never screamed. The earth drank their blood in silence behind the palace walls. 3 women were buried in secret, no grave, no names. And just like that, all proof of Adetokonbo's birth disappeared from the world. The child was placed in a small hut at the edge of the palace grounds, where only 2 silent old servants were allowed to tend to him. The queen would sneak in at night to feed him, sing to him, and tell him stories. She named him Adetokombo, meaning the crown has returned from over the seas. She believed in her heart that one day her son would return, stronger, brighter, and worthy of the throne. But for now, he was only a secret. A prince with a tail, a child born under thunder, a boy hidden from the world. The hut where Adetokombo lived was small, made of red mud and dried palm leaves. It sat far behind the palace, where the royal gardens met the edge of the forest. No one came near there, no one asked questions. Even the birds seemed to avoid the roof. Inside, the baby prince slept in a basket, lined with a goat wool. He was not alone. Two quiet old servants watched over him, Mama Dede and Baba Kora, both chosen by the queen for their silence and loyalty. Mama Dede had lost her voice in a fire many years ago. Baba Kora, half blind and bent from age, barely spoke a word. To the rest of the palace, they were forgotten, just two old ghosts in the shadows. Every night Queen Moranikeji came. She wore a black cloak and walked barefoot like a thief in her own home. She would hold Adetokombo close and cry into his soft hair. I am sorry, my son, she whispered. Forgive me. By day, she smiled and played the role of a joyful mother to Prince Ayotunde, the second twin, who was growing strong and proud under the sun. But Adetokombo grew in silence. He crawled on dusty grounds. He chased lizards. He laughed when goats entered the hut and tried to eat Baba Kora's wrapper. His tail wagged when he was happy. He wrapped it around himself when he was afraid. He had no toys, no drums, no friends. Only animals kept him company. Two goats, a yellow dog with one eye, and a monkey that had wandered from the forest and never left. Mama Dede called the monkey Kiki. Kiki liked to sit on Adetokombo's head and talk gently on his ears. The dog followed him everywhere and slept beside his basket. The goats Ewi and Oko treated him like one of their own, and maybe that's what he was, a child of the forest, a prince raised by beasts. By the time he could walk, his mother came less often. Her visits became shorter, her tears fewer. One night, when he was about 3, she couldn't come at all. Adetokombo sat by the door that night, holding a palm leaf in one hand, his tail curled tightly around his leg. He didn't cry, he just waited and waited. She didn't come the next night either, or the next night after that. Instead, a guard brought a bottle of goat milk and some new clothes for Baba Kora. The queen had sent words that she was busy with a royal matter, but Baba Kora knew the truth. He saw it in the boy's eyes. The queen was letting go. A few days later, Adetokombo tried to follow a butterfly past the edge of the garden. A palace guard spotted him and shouted, Hey, beast child, get back! The guards raised a whip. The boy froze. Agba groaned and stood in front of him. The goat rammed the guard's leg, and Kiki jumped into his helmet. The guard cursed and ran back towards the palace. That night more guards came. They built a fence around the hut, tall and sharp with bamboo spears. Do not let that thing come near the palace again, they said. And so the cage began. By age 5, Adetokombo had learned to speak, but only with animals. He made barking sound with Abba, bleated with the goats, and clicked and chipped like Kiki. He could not read. He could not count. He didn't know the names of the gods or the color of the royal flags. He didn't know he was a prince. He only knew he was not allowed near people. Whenever he tried to speak to a guard or servant from afar, they looked away. Some made signs with their fingers to ward off evil. Others spat on the ground. He's not a boy, one whispered. He's a spirit child. He's cursed. Another said, "That tail is a snake. Mark my words." Adetokombo didn't understand, but he felt it. He felt the wall between him and the world. It was not made of bamboo, it was made of fear, and fear is the loneliest prison of all. One rainy night he sat in the hut alone. Baba Kora had fallen asleep and Mama Dede was boiling yam. Agba rested near the fire. The goat snored. Kiki was hiding in the rafters. Adetokombo looked at the shadows on the walls. Then he whispered, "Why do I have a tail?" No one answered. "Why don't I have a name like other children?" He looked at the goat. "Am I a goat?" Ewi didn't answer. He stood up and touched his tail gently. "Am I a mistake?" Kiki dropped from the rafter and landed softly behind him. She held his hand. He smiled sadly and lay on the floor. And that night, like many others before and after, he slept not as a boy, but like an animal, curled up on a mat, wrapped in his tail, surrounded by beasts, a prince in the shadows, forgotten by his own blood. Adetokombo turned 6. The same month thunder lit the skies once again. That night, King Obani Fame sat alone under the moon, drinking strong palm wine and listening to reports from his guards. One of the guards spoke of a strange child seen running behind the gardens, his back bare, something long wagging behind him like a snake. The king gripped his calabash tightly. "I thought we agreed he would never be seen." Turning to the queen, "Your Majesty, the boy is growing. He is playing with goats. He roams in the shadows." "That is not a boy," the king snapped. "That is a shame, a reminder of something cursed. If he is seen again, it will not be your decision. I will remove him myself." That night, Queen Moranikeji heart broke. She knew that was a threat. Her hand shook, her eyes burned. She had killed to protect her son once. She would not let him be murdered by his own father. She waited until the palace slept. Then she entered the hut for what would be the last time. Adetokombo woke to her soft hand and the smell of her perfumed leaves and smoke. "Shh," she whispered, holding him close. "We are going on a little journey." He didn't cry. He never cried when he was with her. He buried his face in her wrapper and let her carry him into the night. Behind the palace, the queen met a young man named Abeni, a new servant girl from the edge of the kingdom. Abeni had kind eyes, a soft voice, and no family. No one would miss her if she vanished. Queen Moranikeji knelt and looked into the girl's eyes. "Take him far away, across the river, into Ikudoro's kingdom. Find a quiet family. Hide him. Raise him. Tell no one he is royal. Tell no one of the tale." Abeni looked unsure. "I will pay you in gold," the queen said quickly. "And if anyone follows you, run. Never let him fall into the wrong hand." Adetokombo held onto his mother's necklace as she gently pulled it from his hands. "My sweet son," she whispered, tears in her eyes, "may the spirit guide your feet. May the earth hide you until the sky calls you home." Then she turned and ran back towards the palace. Before her heart betrayed her, Abeni watched her disappear. She looked at the child in her arms, then at the bag of gold in her hand, and in that moment, she made a terrible choice. Instead of running to safety, Abeni crossed the borders and went straight to a slave trader in the town of Olorunpa, just outside Ikudoro. There she met a man named Gondogo. Gondogo was known across the land for buying slaves, horses, and strange animals for the royal pets. He wore thick animal skin and had a deep scar across his lip, and one of his fingers was missing. He smelled of blood and old sweat. When he saw the child beside Abena, he grinned. "A strong boy," he said. "Healthy. I will give you 2 gold pieces." "Three," Abena replied, not looking at the boy. Gondogo pulled her aside. "Whose child is this?" "No one important," she lied. "A farmer's child, born sick. They didn't want him." Gondogo looked at the boy's face, then at the bundle of clothes. Something twitched. What's this? He said, lifting the clothes. Then he saw it, the tail. He stepped back. What is this? Abena panicked. It's nothing. He was born like that. This is not a normal child, Gondogo groaned. This is a spirit child, a demon. He turned to walk away, but Abeni grabbed his arm. You are a slave dealer. You sold wars. Take him. Hide him. Sell him to a madman or a prince with dark taste. I don't care. She threw the gold pouch back at him. I never saw you, she whispered. You never saw me. And with that, Abeni disappeared into the night, leaving the boy behind. Gondogo stood in silence, staring at the tail that now curled softly around the boy's ankle. The child looked at him with big eyes, curious, silent, and trusting. I can't tell you, Gondogo muttered, but maybe I can use you. He took the boy to his camp, far outside the village. A small compound surrounded by wooden stakes, with cages for animals and broken carts filled with chains. From that day, Adetokonbo was no longer called by his name. Gondogo called him Thin. He was not allowed to sleep inside the hut. He slept outside, curled in the dirt behind the dogs. He was not allowed to eat at the table. He ate from a broken bowl on the ground. He was not allowed to wear clothes. He wore an old sack with holes. At first, the other slaves laughed at him. Then they feared him. He has a tail, he whispered. Don't touch him. He's cursed. Gondogo put him on display once for a rich man who wanted a monkey for a festival. When the rich man saw the tail, he turned pale. This is bad luck, he said. You will bring death to anyone who buys him. No one else came, so Gondogo gave up trying to sell him. Instead, he locked him in a pen with the goats, and beat him when he made noise, and stabbed him when he cried. But Adetokunbo survived. He learned to hide the tail under his sack. He walked like a goat. He ate like a dog. He spoke only to the animals, and they became his family again. The goat snuggled beside him in the cold. The dog chased away snakes, and at night, when the moon was full, he would look up at the sky and whisper, Mother, where are you? No one answered, but still he waited. Somewhere inside, a part of him still remembered the warm smell of perfume, the sound of a soft voice singing him to sleep. And even though he was beaten, mocked, and treated like an animal, he did not forget. He was born under thunder, and thunder always returned.